Ghost Hunt at Hagood Mill in Pickens, South Carolina, June 14, 2025. Tickets are $25 and are sold on Eventbrite and in person at the Dark, Strange and Mysterious Market in Easley, SC on June 13th and 14th. Special guests for the Ghost Hunt is Brandon Cooper and Blaine Rohan. Hagood Mill is known for its rich history and mysterious activity. Can you see spirits? Can ghosts talk to you? Find out. Ghost Hunt, June 14, 2025. Tickets cost $25. We will gather at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and do a history haunting tour until midnight.
Oh, hey.
Hey.
Welcome to Nightmares.
Yes. Shane in from Savannah area. So why don't we bring them up?
All right. All right, let's bring them on.
Hey guys.
Hey, how you doing? How you doing?
Hey, how are y'all? Thanks for having us.
Thank you for us.
Hey everybody, for anybody that's watching this, Chad got called away on an emergency and I was trying to play or replay an old episode and it is glitching. I'm going to try one more time. Thank you. It's not going to be a live show. I apologize. But like I said, Chad got called away on an emergency. So please, and thank you for tuning in, but please come back next week. I'm going to try to replay this, but I'm not sure if it will. So one more try.
Close to Savannah. We're about 45 minutes from there. I live in Beaufort, South Carolina.
I wasn't sure, so yeah.
Yep.
Well,
Right on. So we're getting closer to Halloween, huh? When is that? Like just in a matter of days?
Yep,
Thursday?
matter of days.
And the time of the year that the boogeyman's on everybody's mind, well, most people anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All year round, so yeah.
Yeah, it's just another day for what we do, but you know, everybody else kind of draws attention to us. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do and
All
how
right.
you got into this?
Well, my name is Shane McLean, and and I am a demonologist. I studied. I was in Bible college. I was a pastor for 3 years. So in ministry wise, I am a licensed and ordained minister. I specialize in spiritual warfare and demonology. And I'm also a case manager. We are case managers for the Paranormal Society of Savannah, and we are active founders of Outer Realms Paranormal. And I've been chasing paranormal. I'm 47 years old. I've been chasing paranormal since I was 10 when I had my first experience. I've always known that there's something else besides here. And, you know, even being in the Bible Belt and even me being a pastor, you know, I always knew that there was something. And, you know, when people would come into the church and they would, you know, they have real problems, you know, I just got really fed up with, people coming in and, you know, we tell them, oh, we'll pray for you. We'll put you and your family on a prayer list. Sometimes, you know, faith needs action, and I didn't realize the need that was so symbolic and so needed until I actually left the church to pursue, what spiritual warfare really is in this world.
Right.
So, and that's what we do. We do residential cases. We try to help families find their peace again. We try to be the voice, for both sides, not only for families, but for ones that have messages for the families. And we work good and bad. We work both sides. I mean, so
right.
we can't be picky, but that's a little bit about what we do. Right.
Well, good. It's good to you talk to somebody else that's in that line of in that part of the field anyway.
Yeah.
So did it kind of conflict being a paranormal investigator when you were a minister? Did that kind of conflict that they accused you of? Because I'm not. I should probably go to church or more regular, but I don't, because I don't want to be a hypocrite. Everything I do is I tell these guys lewd, sinful, or just flat immoral. So I can't. It's a joke, but anyway. I've been accused of all kinds of things, including being a devil worshiper at times, because of my pursuit in these types of cases. Did you get any of that from people?
Yeah.
Which is completely what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's so I can imagine that there's a conflict there, or there was.
There is. There is. I'm an active member of clergy. It's bridging between paranormal and clergy.
Right.
So
right.
That's a good deal.
So you studied demonology then pretty extensively.
Absolutely. I've studied theology itself, as for 27 years.
All right.
So
it's pretty interesting stuff,
It is.
There's a lot of controversy in this, obviously. And like some of the things that I would think are controversial are, so you take a biblical approach to these cases.
My cleansing and clearing that I do is extremely theological. I don't use a lot of paganism, even though I have seen where cases that has worked. But I use an extreme. If you saw the way that I did a cleansing and the way that the Catholics do a cleansing, I am more in depth. But I use holy water. I use a Benedict rosary. And I don't proclaim to be Catholic. I use because I know it works.
Right. Yeah, you got to go with what works. No, that's exactly. Well, when you deal with something like that, you have to go with what does work.
Right.
And I've seen a lot of things throughout the years, people take different approaches and have it not be as successful and make it worse at times. And it's very important to keep it to what works, because you're dealing with something dangerous,
Yeah.
at that point. And
Yes.
and it's the field of paranormal research is not, I know it's there's a lot of attention on the field, but a lot of people portray it as like a harmless, hobby or something you can go out and just, do, and there's no real risk. And I think that's very dangerous when people
Very, very.
do that. Yeah. So it's very interesting. When's what are there any cases that stand out in your mind that you've dealt with that are really stick out from the rest?
Well, we worked one just a little while back. I don't know if I'm supposed to be talking about that one though. I don't.
Oh yeah, we don't want to talk about anything that sensitive material, because when you do deal with personal cases like that, there's a lot of sensitive.
We deal a lot of family issues. Like okay, one case was the father was affected, and for us to try to figure out what it is, who it was, to identify it, to have a confrontation, with and giving the momentum to be able to step in and actually do it, and then do a clearing and cleansing. That was recently. So, but that's what we do though. I get calls from other teams, that are like, listen, I had this person. Matter of fact, on the last podcast I did, a lady reached out to me from Alabama, and her mother has something going on, and it has carried on from her mother to her,
Right.
and
Sure.
now it's just it so that generational, that residual haunting that's going on, it needs to stop, and that's where we're going to be working to get
Right.
to help her too.
That seems that is, when it comes to that type of phenomenon, that seems to be something that happens, often in those types of cases where it's like they inherit this being or these entities, whatever they are, or maybe, and it's and usually now you're not talking about possession, you're talking about somebody that's oppressed, right?
No, yeah. I mean, there's stages. There's stages
Sure.
to it. I have state. I go with manifestation. I go with infestation. I go with oppression, possession, and in the
Right.
past 5 years, after possession, after the person is no longer possessed, we have seen a rise in obsession.
Right.
Which they desire to have something that they feel spiritually or physically or emotionally missing, and they want that back. Well, biblically, it says that if you allow that to come back, not only does it come back, but it comes back 7 times stronger than before.
Right. Yeah, that's the idea, is that like if there's a hold still on the individual by these entities, that they can go recruit more and come back.
Oh yeah.
That are more powerful. Yeah. And there's the cases that I've dealt with, there seems to be like almost like after shocks, like if you have an earthquake and then it's gone, and then there's these waves of activity where the person actually manifests certain behavior, like when they were oppressed or possessed.
Yeah.
But it seems to go away in time if they don't play into it. No, that's exactly what I've noticed. So now I know that there's a lot of talk about, and it's been this way for a long time, that how rare cases of demonic phenomenon are.
It is. I mean, it does happen. But let's set the record straight on this right now. YouTube's got it all wrong. I mean, like every single thing that you see on YouTube, everything is demonic. Out of out of all the cases that any of us work, 1% is going to be demonic in case.
Right.
I mean,
well, I mean, I agree with that. There's a lot of these sensationalistic shows on YouTube that they're like, I feel 90% of them are completely and totally bogus and scripted. Yeah, I mean, they're getting a lot of hits from it, and it's there. Some people with some pretty creative imaginations, and but I feel a lot of that's just, there's nothing to any of that. So I agree with that. But as far as like being so rare, it's almost like if that was the case, though, the devil ain't doing a very good job, in what he's doing.
I don't think it. Well, he is doing a great job, because I mean, if you look at the wars, the family separations, the divorces, the drug addiction, alcoholism, stuff like that.
Sure.
That's all a manifestation of what he's doing, and like Lauryn Hill put a song out, "Killing Them Softly," long time ago, and that's literally what the devil is doing. Is he doesn't just want to take you out of the frame. He wants to kill you softly.
Right. Oh, of course. Yeah. But there's a lot, especially now. Yeah. Like in the music industry, there's a lot of open, like blatant, satanic symbolism. Yeah. Now, so it's like, it's hard to, there are, I gotta say, I don't really think it's that rare that you deal with cases of demonic, like the actual cases of possession. Very rare. I mean, those you don't see many of those, but like as far as like the influence of the demonic, there's quite a bit of it out there. It seems and so it's it seems like in our time right now. So I've been doing this for like a little over 30 years. It's more accepted now, it seems like, than it's ever been.
Yep. I agree. And I definitely know that even when I was growing up, that are doable now. They weren't doable,
accepted. Like, which is part of what the devil does, is he likes to be all up. He likes to do things in your face, and and out in the open, like a lot of these people, they're very open about their involvement in satanic practices and
right. Well, the Bible says he comes as an angel of light. So he can manipulate, he can turn things to make it look appeasing, but it destroys you slowly.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, their people are promised, of course, money and power, and actually, I mean, there must be a lot of truth to this, because some of these people are very wealthy, but they pay a high price, for it. I think nothing's for free. Mm-hmm. And that's something that once you make a bond or create a union with something like that, it's definitely not, you don't come out on top, definitely. But whatever these things are, they're very convincing, obviously, because people, from the outside looking at what some of these people believe, it seems ridiculous, but to them, whatever they're witnessing is pretty convincing,
Yeah, for sure.
So interesting stuff. So do you have any? Are you always working? I mean, are you pretty busy doing what you do? Of course, you get probably people contact you from all over.
Yeah, I do. I have end-stage renal failure with one kidney, so I'm in dialysis also, and but I made a pact with not only myself, but of course with God, that as long as I'm here, as long as I'm able to, that I'm going to do exactly what I need to do to serve God and to serve His people.
Absolutely. Yeah. Once you make, that's it's kind of, I don't know if that's the way it is with everybody, but there ain't no, there really ain't, there isn't no, quitting, once you start this.
No.
Kind of work. And it's, and what's interesting is when I think, I can't really even think about quitting. I don't know if you've ever experienced this. It's like that part. It's like that thought process doesn't even exist.
No.
It's very odd, and it's not a burden to do it. And because I've often thought, like, man, I'd be a lot better off if I wasn't involved in these types of cases, because some of them are pretty exhausting. But it comes easier to do that than it does other things in my life, which is kind of quite bizarre. That works out.
It really is. It really, and see, I don't consider this like something. This is a calling for me. This is definitely my calling, and I do believe that God had prepared me since birth for this. God's number of completion is 7, right?
Okay.
All right, my birthday, listen to this, is 7 pounds 7/27/77, and I was born 7 pounds 7 ounces at 7 a.m. in the morning.
Wow, that's pretty interesting. Yeah, that's interesting stuff there. Yeah,
I heard it when you were on the other show, and I was like, wow, that's
pretty interesting. It's weird. I went through some stuff in my childhood that didn't make sense at the time, and like there was I had a pretty rough childhood, and there was a lot of abuse related directly to God, and it was weird. There were these people. First of all, they like, there was a great effort put in to make me afraid of the paranormal when I was a young kid, and especially when it came to demons. Went to this church that was kind of, my family was involved in the church that was kind of more like an occult kind of deal, and they didn't even speak about the devil, or they didn't speak about demons, or they were going to come get you, And I remember these adult people, telling me these. I'm a little kid telling me these stories and trying to scare the hell out of me with it, and I had a fear of the dark and all this, and it's weird that I never think that I would be doing this, back then. It's pretty interesting, some of the stuff that how you're talking about that maybe events in your life get you prepared for things that are coming, or there's an effort to steer you away from that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and once you get in our field too, you clean eyes that not all hauntings are demonic.
No. There's a lot of people that are just seeking the attention of it, obviously, and people with overactive imaginations, and people. I mean, and I think a lot of locations are active doesn't mean they're haunted. Necessarily, like where activity is pretty easy to find.
Energy.
Right. And it's hard to say, what that type of activity is. But when you deal with the demonic, there's definitely specific things that, manifestations that happen that are not typical with other types of phenomenon.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And, and I know a lot of the symptoms of somebody that will take oppression or possession. There's certain symptoms that are similar to mental illness, but there's one factor that, and people should definitely be diagnosed, definitely be checked out, make sure that there's nothing physically wrong with them, nothing mentally wrong with them, because there's a lot of, and I think that demons cause the symptom that they cause certain types of mental illness once they begin to affect the person. But when the person manifests or shows acts that are inhuman or outside the realm of natural, that's it's a pretty good indication that you're dealing with something supernatural at that point. Yep, absolutely.
They say that during oppression, like the late stages of oppression, resembles a lot of the mental illness of schizophrenia.
Right.
Which it does. It does.
But the personalities too, like there's like if you're dealing with somebody that is truly possessed and not having a split personality, the demons have a certain disposition, which you've noticed probably, a very disliking to God and very disliking to religious
artifacts.
They can't say certain things. Like you cannot get a possessed person to say usually in the cases that I've seen, that you can't get them to say Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. They won't say, they'll say your Lord and Savior. A lot of them won't even say the name of Christ. They'll say it. They'll say like the Son of Man or
the Lord's Prayer, you try stuff like that, you always say it. What's interesting to me is people tell me, well, how do you identify, the difference between mental health and, well, if you hear 4 to 5 voices coming out of someone when they're speaking, and then they start speaking in languages that they're not even familiar with, multiple different languages that they don't. And then another thing is they'll tell you stuff about yourself that you have never told anyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. No, you're right. No, exactly. And they'll try to they'll try to break you down with a lot of different tactics like that.
Yep.
And they'll say, you definitely can't have a thin skin when you go up against something like that. You can't have anything that you're going to be, devastated by if the thing, airs it.
Yep.
It's definitely. And I look at it like this. I don't care who they are or what profession they're in. If somebody was to sit through a exorcism, sit there, watch what's going on, or an actual exorcism, there's no way that they could walk away from that and say, oh, well, that's just schizophrenia.
No.
Or something of that nature. Yeah. So it's pretty, demons are pretty good at masking their presence, even in people that are possessed. There's somebody that I knew that was possessed. I didn't even know they were possessed until the person, the entity manifested, just kind of out of the blue. It was really weird. And it's kind of in a situation that I wasn't, I had no choice but to actually be involved because, I happened to be there and everything. But the whole, I don't go around looking to expel demons from people. I'm not an exorcist, but I've witnessed a couple cases of it, and it's something that I'll never forget. That's for sure.
No. Well, demons, they affect the bone marrow. So the contortion of the body, the things that you're able to do, between, levitation. Things like, there's so many different things in oppression and possession that can be identified pretty and know that it has nothing to do with mental health. Because first of all, before I take any demonic cases on, I spend a week praying. I get everything that I can out. I talk to fellow brothers or archbishops or something like that. I get every single thing that's on my mind that can be used against me out. So that when I go, that if it tries to throw anything that is kind of odd around me, it's already covered through that. There's nothing that they can do. You can't leave them any weaponry to use. You've got to kind of limit that. I remember this one case that I didn't really have a choice but to be involved in. I thought the person was just on something at first, they weren't acting right, of course. And I remember this person just dropped them off on my doorstep and took off, and I'd known this person previously, and they of course weren't acting right at first. And I'm dropped an affected person off at your doorstep?
Oh yeah. Dropped them off and took off, left them there. No, this is quite the story. It's a pretty interesting one. So anyway, I'm sitting there, and this person is, when they start to contort, like what you're saying, their motor functions aren't right. Which a lot of people when they get on drugs, they have the same kind of similar movement. And this, I'm talking to this person, and they're kind of rolling around, acting funny, and I noticed that they were doing some things that were weird. Like, case in point, there was this big stuffed chair next to where I was sitting, like a big recliner, and they reached on, just tapped it, and it went sliding across the room and hit the wall really hard. And I was like, well, a little bit extreme, And then I wouldn't say something, and the person looks at me, and his odd voice wasn't theirs. They go, telling me how I thought I was powerful and all this, and I go, no, not really. And they go, well, you're weak, you're nothing. I ought to eat the what they say? I ought to eat the bones. I ought to drink your blood, eat the bone, eat the flesh from your bones, or something like that. And I go, oh, really? You know. And then they were just acting so odd. I go, can you do me a favor so we can just rule out, you know, all you know, possibilities here? I go, can you repeat the words, Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior? And then that pissed off whatever was there, and it person within one motion. You know, have you ever seen? Did any of these? You've witnessed cases of possession? I take it, right?
Oh yeah.
Do the people always in all cases or most cases that you've seen? Do they try to remove their clothing to humiliate their host? Yeah, see, that's what this person did. In one motion, they like slid off the bed and like took. I couldn't have done that. Under any circumstances, took their clothes off when they hit the floor. They just kind of like flopped on the floor, and they started, scratch at the floor and acting kind of, animalistic. And the individual, this person would change. Their features would change. Like this person. It sounds crazy, but the person's ears were pointed, and it looked like their teeth had been like filed sharp.
Wow!
When they looked at me, and of course the eye color was different and all that, and this voice started coming out of them that is speaking another language. It wasn't. I'm thinking it might have been Sumerian because I looked up some words that there's things
or Mesopotamian.
And the voice would like. It wasn't coming from them. It was coming from like all around the room, and it was like a deep, bassy sound, and it would vibrate my dishes when the thing would speak.
Oh wow!
But and I kind of stepped back, and I'm like, "You got to be kidding me!" Demonic possession. I was like, "Whoa!" It kind of caught me off guard because I wasn't expecting. I wasn't expecting that at all, you know. And the person. And then they stop and they wipe their face like a cat, like that. And then, doing the animal movements and stuff. And with all the voices like you're talking about at once, this was an ordeal that lasted like 10 hours or 11 hours or something. The beginning of and it's just me and this person, and I've never done this before. So I'm like, oh great, it's going to be fun,
Chad, was this the one that we talked about on the show?
No, this is a different one. This one was much worse than that one.
Okay.
But the individual. There was one point anyway where they were sitting there with their mouth open, and I could hear all these voices, coming out of the person, and I could also hear her voice behind all these voices, and screaming for help and all this, and it just from what you said about the many voices, it just reminded me of that incident. But one of there's always a superior. In this case, there was a spirit that was like the most powerful spirit out of all of them. Then there was like the minor ones beneath it that would take turns. They take turns manifesting through the person. And the main spirit, the one that talk and vibrate everything, it started talking about how it was there when man was created, talking about about how it was there to see us gasping for air. It said that I was there when your kind was created. Mankind's young. It kept saying that, and listening to this thing and talking. And it goes. How to say that? It goes. I was there, and I witnessed the first of your kind gasping for air like a dying fish. And I said, well, that's great, and an ancient dirtbag is still just a dirtbag. Being a smart, but anyhow, it was quite, and every spirit that would manifest, the person's whole appearance would change. It was the craziest thing, talking about impossible things that far beyond that of mental illness. And this one would manifest and just go blah 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 like that in my face, where like I was trying to read scripture from the Bible, and it was just enough to sidetrack me. Then a different one would take over, and it was quite the ordeal. It's something that it really at that moment I was like, what? There's a lot more to this biblical approach, than what a lot of people realize.
Yep.
Yep. But yeah, that was definitely that definitely sealed the deal for me though when it came, believing in God and it's I don't have a choice now, unfortunately. Well, no, actually, but it's something that it didn't traumatize me. The experience, I mean, I was fine with it. It actually, it was. I'm glad I experienced it because it really was something that I look at it like that was almost like a blessing to get to experience something like that.
It gives you insight.
Yeah, it did most definitely.
Yep. It definitely does. I saw one in a church. In a church. A guy that was in a church. He was sitting there. He was perfectly fine. And the second the worship music came on, and he tried to. I guess he thought that he was definitely oppressed, but it was a suppressed oppression. It's the craziest thing I've ever, one of the craziest things I've ever seen. And he thought that, then I'll just go to church. Well, he was thinking that I really do need to go to church, but the demon that attached to him was there to mock the church.
Sure. Oh yeah.
So when he opened his mouth, the chair that he was in went straight back, hit the wall. He fell slapped back on his back. He started contorting. He started doing all kind of this is in church, and
oh yeah, yeah.
And I had to help the pastor, not only help control him, but I knew then, I was like, this is exactly what the devil wants to do. The devil wants to infiltrate the house of God.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And tear it down from the inside out. And if he can tear the church, if he can tear that completely down, then people will lose the concept of who God is and what God wants to do, because God doesn't have a house anymore.
Right.
God doesn't have it, God doesn't have that there's a ruler of this world that's not of God.
True, absolutely. And unfortunately there's a lot of there's a lot of different religions out there when it comes to Christianity that they practice a lot of like you were talking about paganistic practices, and they partake in rituals that are not favorable to God, and they're actually a mockery. Like one of the biggest tools that I think the devil uses is people that set a bad example for God.
That's it.
And that is and that's something that that's why I always tell people that I believe in I have a very, very deep faith in God, but I'm not an example to use as somebody that that would be somebody that you would look at and say, oh, this person is a devout Christian, because there's a lot of things that that I do, but then again, I don't claim. There's a lot of people that claim to represent God directly that aren't good examples, and I think that's the one thing that people should be very careful with,
very careful.
That's something that if you're gonna be like that, just leave God out of it, and at that part, but I think that's one of the things that, just think about it, like if people if they don't know God, like after you get to know God, there's that these things exist. There's people that set bad examples, but let's say you don't know much about God, and that one bad example turns you away from God. I wouldn't want to be the person that did that,
Right.
But I guess the whole thing is that this whole biblical thing, it's not a fairy tale. It's far from it. Despite the YouTube videos and the people mocking and pretending, no, the devil is very real, and demons are very real, and they're out to destroy mankind 100% in ways that we don't even know that we could be destroyed. So I usually joke around. But this is a pretty serious topic. It's something that doesn't need to be taken lightly. And you're right. Like I remember the fads. Like first, the demons were in, demons were out. Then they're back in. Well, I don't think everything's a demon, but I think people should be very careful with
Very careful.
what they deal with, because I think the
The
devil.
idea of demonic infiltration is heavier today than it ever has been.
True, yeah,
That
yeah,
the acceptance that we have allowed in this culture and what is allowed is demonic in nature. The Bible says, you test the fruits of the spirit, and you said, but it also, in the same note, it says that you will know them by their fruits.
right. No, exactly. But yeah, so there's definitely there's definitely a war between good and evil that is the unseen, that a lot of people go through everyday life, and they don't realize it right off the bat. But I think now, like I said, it's the devil's more out in the open now. And I think there's very few people. I think it boils down to it that if you set them down, and I think the issue of whether God and these evil forces exist isn't really a question anymore. It's just what side of the fence you're going to be on, I suppose. But yeah, it's very fascinating work, though. I mean, I think, I can't imagine not doing it. It's really interesting, and it's almost like another blessing to be part of a tool that God may be using.
Yep.
I mean, because at the end of the day, we don't do anything. We don't have the power to do anything. We can be involved, but that's about it.
If you're a soldier for God and you're a soldier of God, the biggest thing that you live by is let your will be done, not mine.
Yeah. So there's a lot of people that they don't let that be known too. That it's that without that it's all God, that we're nothing to do with what we're, nothing coming from us personally. We're just kind of the middleman, or at best. But it is a good feeling when people do, when you point them in the right direction, or you help point them in the right direction on how to help themselves. Like you're talking about people that their lives are upside down because they're dealing with something that most people can't even imagine. And it's always good when you hear about people that you've helped or tried to with God's power, with God's ability to help them, and it feels good. That's makes it worthwhile. But all in all, though, there's been some interesting stuff happen, but nothing too extreme when it comes to the actual backlash from doing this. There's a lot of people that they expose themselves to the demonic, and the term that you're never the same after every time that you do. That takes a little bit of you. Have you ever experienced any of that, where for every case you deal with, that it takes something from you? You ever feel that way? Oh, I can't hear you. Can you hear me? Oh, yeah, I can't hear you.
How about now?
Okay, now I can. Now I can hear you.
Okay. All right. For some reason, it muted on there.
Oh, yeah, something else. We haven't had very many technical difficulties during this show, so I gotta knock on wood there.
Yeah, I think she tried to say. Can you hear us?
I can't now. We can't hear you though.
We cannot hear you, Gwen. We cannot hear you.
Better?
Yep.
Now I can hear you. Uh-oh.
Yeah, we have Grims on the show a lot.
No,
yeah.
no, never.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah, we do. And I was actually moving around, so yeah.
Yep. Well, to answer your question, I do. And I even had stuff took out of me when I was preaching, because I preached a lot on spiritual warfare and things like that. But, every single case, you take a lot out of it. You leave a lot. But when you get home and you're trying to decompress and, you're trying to take everything in, that's when you realize, wow, I mean, like I've had cases to where we worked a 6.5 hour case, doing the clearing and cleansing. And when I got home, I was mush. I was like, man, this is, not only,
it is. It does that. I've dealt with that a lot. The drain, the just feeling like, you talk about feeling like you've been through a war, after dealing with some of those cases. Yeah, you do. That's what you feel like. And two, and then, once you irritate certain things out there, I believe that, these things don't forget, they don't hold a grudge for just a short time, man. I mean, I know there's things out there that are not happy with me. I've got, I've captured, audio of things saying that they're not happy with me. And, so there's always, I kind of feel like there's always, something, hoping I slip up, or hoping, that there's an avenue to do me harm. Cause I know I'm without a doubt, I know there would be things that definitely take advantage of that.
Right.
And there's activity in my home from time to time, it's something that's part of the norm. Things pop in, pop out, and like an example is years ago, there was a case that we did, it's probably like 10 years ago now. And there was this tune. Now when you deal with the demonic, do you get a lot of musical, like whether they're little taps in certain musical tunes or just little like signatures like that? You ever get that?
Some, I mean, but look at Lucifer, I mean, even in theology, it says that he was the angel of music.
Right. The
angel of praise.
Right. There's a scripture in Psalms that talks about that too, about his musical instruments being created perfectly and all that. But we picked up this tune that's, I don't really know I'll have to play it on the next show because it's pretty interesting. But I hear that from time to time, all these years later. I'll hear that. Whatever that was, it makes its presence known from time to time by audibly playing this tune. So it's kind of weird, so there's things out there still reminding me, from different cases that they're still around,
Yeah. And I mean, you got to be careful. Like there's a lot of music there, and that's exactly what the devil wants you to do. And I mean, there's music when you sing it and you sing it in a repetitious manner like that, you can manifest things into your life. I mean, easy through music. You actually want to watch a good docu-series. Years ago, they came out, they sold their souls for rock and roll.
Oh yeah, and that's a real thing too. People don't realize, well, people attempt to sell their soul, but it's like it's just a contract, right? And but people do that. I mean, it's something that I used to think that it was something that was fiction, but not now. I really believe people do that, and that they do gain something temporarily from it,
Yeah, but the funny part is, the devil knows this too.
Oh yeah,
you literally cannot sell your soul.
No, it doesn't belong.
It doesn't belong to you.
No, it doesn't. No, that's it. It's a gimmick. Yeah.
The will of your soul, and the ability for free will, that belongs to you. That's what gives you choices. That's what gives right and wrong. But your soul, your eternal spiritual being, your soul does not belong to you, and you have no right, and there's no way that you can sell your soul. You can contract, you can give yourself to something.
There you go. You're choosing to give yourself to the devil at that point. So kind of property of, but no, your soul belongs to God. He's the one that gives life, and of course can take it. And but it's a lot of people will probably be, if whoever tunes in the show kind of thinking, well, but no, this is it's very real stuff, and people got to be careful with it, and there's a lot of things out there. Demons, they'll take on whatever role that they have to.
Anything
to entrap you. And there's rules. Like one of the things that same possession that I was talking about, one of the first thing that this person said once that it manifested was, it said, we've been given the legal right to be here. No, she was offered up to us as a vessel, is what it said. So there's a legal right. There are rules that these demons have to abide by, and there's rules that you can unknowingly break, which gives them the legal right to advance on you. And so there's a rule set. There has to be, because there's that term legal right, giving these entities the legal right. And whenever that takes place, then things get a little more complicated. But they'll try to get you to do that unknowingly too, and that's where the deception comes in. And
that's it.
So that's interesting conversation though, man. I appreciate it.
For sure, absolutely. I enjoy speaking, especially like topics like this, you know, and I just think that the world needs to be more aware of what they're allowing or what is acceptable in. It's not everything is peaches and cream. And I mean, whether it's music or your lifestyle habits, I mean, stuff like that, you know, just really, if your life cannot be lined on a constructive path that gets you somewhere, you know, then I would definitely check, because the devil can use anything in between to manipulate.
And some of the stuff that, and some of the manifestations of these entities is just, I mean, just when you think you've seen about everything there is to see, then you document something else, and it's like, and there's so many different differences of opinion out there, especially in the paranormal field. Now, it's like you have to be, you know, some people have this, you know, which it's great that people have all these different outlooks, which I love to hear. You know, I find a lot of them interesting, but you know, there's a lot there's a lot for people that don't know or understand the phenomenon. It's a tough place to be, because there's a lot of things there's a lot of information out there that people swear by, that, you know, that I personally don't think is a safe, healthy way to approach things. And everything that I speak of, like, it's based upon like actual experiences or cases that I've witnessed go down. I don't really, my personal opinion doesn't really matter when it comes to this stuff. It's just it's based upon many cases and
experience.
So it's like, a lot of people, they think their ways the way to go, which, like I said, it's not about that. I find it all interesting, you know.
You guys, I'm gonna interrupt for 1 minute. You got about 10 minutes.
Oh, we do. Okay.
Well, if you need to go for a couple, that's fine. But I'm just kind of giving you a 10 minutes.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So is there anything you'd like to give a shout out to, or any events coming up, or anything that you got going on that you like to?
Yeah, we're working on a pretty big case right now. Also, we've got some other stuff coming up here very soon. I can't really speak on it right now, but it's exciting. It's exciting. You know, we have, I'm trying to think of the events was. See, we live like close to Savannah, so I mean, the society that we're part of puts on events down there that are really good. We did the Fitzpatrick in Washington, Georgia. You know, and if you guys have never been there to the Fitzpatrick,
never been there.
You should really try to get there. It's a quiet little town. The place is active. It's a beautiful place. And that's where. You know, it's a beautiful little spot, you know, and I think Lee Triana is going there soon.
Oh, right on. Yeah, well, definitely, and there's some stuff definitely that we're working on also, that, you know, coming up in the future that hopefully we got going on, And I'm working on something for Halloween. It's some kind of live. It's a live investigation, so that'll be interesting. To get people there live, because the last time we did this, there were people that were aware of things that were going on before we were, because they could hear it real time. So we got some stuff coming up, and I'll give you guys some information on that as soon as I get.
Awesome. Yeah, my sister and I are about to have
Fitzpatrick this weekend coming, next weekend actually. So yeah.
There you go. Yeah, remember he told us he wanted us to go.
Yeah, I know.
I would love for you guys to come.
Yeah, I would would definitely love to be there. Yeah, my wife has to work though. That's the whole thing. Like Saturdays, she gets off at 3:00 in the afternoon, and then I know it took us right at about 3 hours to get there. It was definitely, I would do it all over again. If I had a chance to really go there and do it, I would love to investigate the Fitzpatrick again.
Well, it was great last time, but we're going back Saturday.
Yep. Go into the ballroom. Go into the ballroom there, and take a ghost meter. The EMF that lights up at the top.
Yeah.
Take a ghost.
When we were doing the Estes method, when you were doing it, I was in there with you guys that night. So yeah.
The Estes method in there, but if you take that ghost meter and when you have the lights off and put it right up against that mirror, when you walk into that room, the mirror on the right, right there, if you stick that there, you will see there is a portal in that mirror.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna be in the background, but you guys finish up and
okay.
Is there anybody in the room with you, Gwen?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought I heard a whisper or something.
Yeah, my friend is here with us.
All right, okay. Make sure
There's always somebody with me, whether I'm alone or not. So I didn't here. Yeah. I'm gonna go down here, but I'll be with you guys. Okay. So you just yell at me when we get finished.
All right. Okay? Well, we're wrapping up, I guess, and again, I want to thank you for joining.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, man. It was a pleasure meeting you, and it was a pleasure being on the show. I think conversations like this are very beneficial, and you talk about the knowledge and what you take in and stuff like that. The Bible says study to show yourself approved unto God, but it also says that the knowledge of this world is foolishness to God. So we not only do we have to be careful, but but be careful what you take in. Be careful what you allow.
That's it. Absolutely. Yeah. Yep.
Allow to be a part of your life. And it can be just as dangerous as a drug, just as dangerous, because once you manipulate and start changing those aspects of your life that shouldn't have been changed, it's harder to go back.
Well, yeah. And there can be something can get a foothold in your life without you realizing it pretty quick. And these things are definitely out to they got bad intentions, to say the least. It's dangerous. It's a controversial subject, but like I say, what do I know? I only work here. That's what I say. So
yeah, that's right.
Then, but yeah, doing what we do. Well, you know what? Hey, you stay safe out there, and we'll close it up. Thanks again for coming on the show. Good conversation. Thanks, Glenn.
Absolutely.
And I got to back to the day.
Y'all, I'll have to talk to y'all later about a couple things too. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Nothing bad. All good.
All right. Good stuff. Hey, it was a pleasure, man. And thank you so much for having me. My sister and I will be having a podcast soon, like a brother and sister podcast. And I would love to have you on. So I'll reach out to you. But it's been a blast, man. Thank you. I know we had the time difference thing, but it's okay. This was a good podcast. I really enjoyed it.
Man.
Yep.
Yes.
All
thank
right.
you.
Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. Yeah, I told Gwen, I'm like, man, I would like to have that guy on my show. You know, them. You know, I kind of sat in on your guys' last show and like, you know, really got a lot out of the conversation. So
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
no problem. And what did you say about you wanted to talk to all of us, or talk to who do you want to talk to?
I can say it online. Shane is starting a show. That's what I was going to tell you.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I want you to come on, especially since you guys do similar things. Similar.
Sure.
But Monday night is going to be the night for you guys kind of things.
Okay.
So that'll be So the demonic, you know,
The dark, nasty stuff, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's going to be our Monday nights, and hopefully next week, unless something goes crazy. I'm working on it. Like I said, I'm not at home. I'm on the coast.
No.
Yeah.
On vacation. And on
Yeah.
vacation. Right on. Right. That's
A
cool.
little time away, but it's been nice. And
That's
I won't
amazing.
call names, but my friend was gracious enough to invite me, and I'm here, and it's great. And but I was here for you guys. I was even on the beach when we started.
Appreciate it.
And we appreciate that so much.
Thank you guys. I appreciate you guys too. But great show, and yes, we will all get together this week and talk about things.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, I got to get out here. Here's again. Yeah, this is a store here. And there's even some kind of a creepy doll right there. I don't, you know.
I see it.
Right here.
I
Right
see
here.
it.
See? Sitting there, you know, so they got all kinds of stuff. It's like a huge Halloween thing with all the big props next door. And then the people were talking to me and they're like, man, you know, we heard some noises in there that was not the, you know, the animatronic, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, really?
Yeah.
The building has some history, but anyhow, so see you next time, guys.
All right, guys. Take care. Y'all have a great night. Thank you, guys.
Don't let Boogeyman get you.
All right.
All right.
See you.
Bye-bye.